Dr. Gopinath is a postdoctoral fellow in dermatology at Johns Hopkins Medicine, where she works at the intersection of clinical research and biomedical innovation. Her background spans transplant dermatology, translational research, and medical technology development. She's led multi-site clinical trials, published in high-impact journals, and built advocacy programs for international physician scientists. She also brings a creative lens to her work and life, with interests ranging from Carnatic music to yoga to interior design. Today, she'll share some final thoughts of what it really means to carve a path in healthcare with honesty, flexibility, and purpose. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Shilpa Gopinath. Thank you for being here.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Sonika, for that really nice introduction, and thank you for the organizers for inviting me here today. It's truly a pleasure to be with all of you, and it's great to see that you're all here on a weekend, no less. So it shows that you're very invested in your future, and that matters. I'm Shilpa Gopinath. I'm a physician researcher, and I'm also currently a postdoc fellow at the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. So I'm originally from India. I'm a medical doctor, and I have specialized in dermatology, public health, and translational research. But today, I'm not here to talk about my credentials. I'm here to talk more about my journey, or rather my perspective of the journey. And also something we all experience regardless of our background or title, and that is overcoming setbacks, facing uncertainty, and also the silent strength of persisting when no one is watching. So let me take you back to where it all began. I was born and raised in Bengaluru, and for those of you who don't know, it's in South India. It's a really beautiful city. It's known for its weather. It's also called the Silicon City because there are a lot of IT companies, and also of late it's known for its really bad traffic, and so I wanted to make sure that there was a photo with its traffic. I don't know how much you can see. So I was actually born in a family that breathed medicine. So we had about 20 people who are doctors, including my parents. So I guess when I was born, they just decided that I'm going to become one. There was this general assumption. So it was never if I will become a doctor, it was more about when. And just like, because I see a lot of Indian families here, there was so much emphasis on academics right from childhood. So it's a lot of pressure. And I did do quite well. I was actually in the top 1% of my class right from kindergarten to high school. Medical school in India actually starts at 18 because we follow the British system, and also similar to the American or similar to how competitive it is over here. It can get very competitive there, and just for context, we have about, I think, 2.4 million candidates who actually take the exam to get into medical school, and you have to be in the top 1%, or to be more precise, like 0.87%. So despite this, I think I was really, I was sort of determined to sort of explore all my other interests because I really loved fashion, I loved art, and more importantly, I've always wanted to start my own company and be my own boss. And the reason I'm talking about this is because it is so important to, especially when you grow up in like a typical South Asian family, to not be pressured just because your family is full of doctors or your parents want you to be one. I think it's very important to ultimately do what you love. In my case, I think even though I had other interests, I think the most important thing was that I had a very natural ability for biology. It sort of came very natural to me. I really loved to dig deeper and to understand how the human body functions. And so ultimately, medicine sort of became a path which combined passion and purpose, and that's when I decided that I want to go into medical school. Now, medical school was challenging, but I think I did quite okay. So on the outside, it kind of looked like everything was going well, but what most people didn't see was that during that time, and also in subsequent years, I went through a very, very difficult time in my personal life, and it wasn't really for months, it was actually for years. It was very traumatic for me, and at the end of it, I was told that I have major depression, and also I was told that I have ADHD, which was probably completely missed in childhood. And this was a very, very difficult time because one is that I was surrounded by especially family and community where sort of mental health is like a stigma. People don't really talk about it. And it was really hard because just getting out of bed felt like climbing a mountain. And I think that was the time when I was taking the USMLE exams. And I think, as Rithvik said, it's not just about intelligence. The exam is more about endurance. It's more about focus. And it became really, really hard. And then I really started to question my future in medicine, sort of question my place in the world. And the reason I'm talking about this today is that it's very important to know that even if you think that you're surrounded by really loving family and friends, or if you think you're all alone, at the end of the day, it's very important to know that no one saves you but yourself. So for me, it took me a really long time to realize this, but once I did, that low point became a turning point. So there was no rescue squad, no grand intervention, no lightning bulb moment. What did show up was something quieter, like a voice inside me which said that not today. You don't have to take a huge leap, but you do have to just take small steps. So small steps builds momentum. I think what really helped me during difficult time period, and it's for everyone, is to develop some important qualities which will definitely take you forward in life. And out of all this, I would say maybe self-belief and self-love is probably the most important thing. So what is self-belief? It's holding on to the idea that you are capable, even if confidence feels out of reach, even if everyone around you is saying, this is not something you should be doing, maybe you're not capable. The most important thing is to have that belief in yourself, because that is what is going to take you forward. And self-love is having a lot of compassion and love for yourself, because I feel that most of us, we have so much, we are so good to other people. We're really kind and compassionate and have a lot of sympathy, but it's just not the way we are with ourselves. And it's very important to stop judging your days as failures, and just to look at it as part of the process. And I think grit is something which is, it's the determination to keep showing up every single day. And when you show up, it could be anything. It's just not for your exam, not just for studying. It's just showing up at the gym, maybe just showing up for work or for studying, whatever. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's so important that you do it for yourself. You're not doing it just to please anyone else, not doing it for anything else. It was the same way for me. And of course, there are days when you may not feel like it, but it's very important to remember that it's the small steps that matters. And resilience is basically the ability to recover, because in your journey, you may get into a really top medical school, you may get into, you may have a career as a researcher, as a physician, but there will be small rejections. Maybe it's a paper getting rejected, maybe a grant which is not being, which didn't get approved. Regardless, it's very important to realize that this is just a small chapter and not your entire life. And I think most importantly is patience with the process, and also most importantly with yourself. So in my case, eventually I applied to Johns Hopkins for graduate school, and that sort of became like it sort of reignited my sense of purpose and opened doors, which especially to global health and leadership. So I think the most important, the key takeaways I want to give from my talk today is that your lowest point in life is just a chapter. It's not really your entire journey. So whatever you face in life, whether it's failure, any sort of illness or rejection, these don't really define you unless you let them. Hard work and consistency outweigh talent. I mean, there are so many people who are really smart, really talented, but it is so important to it's the ability to keep showing up, especially when nobody is watching. I think that is a real superpower. Where you are currently in your class doesn't really define how successful you're going to become. So what does that mean? Maybe you are the class topper right now. Maybe you are at the bottom of your class and you feel that you can't really get anywhere in life. And that's not really true at all, because you can always turn your life around. Of course, it won't happen if you don't do anything. It's very important to focus and work hard and all of that, but it is still possible. And success is not a race, so it doesn't have to look the same for everyone, and you are allowed to move at your own pace. Just because someone, they went to college, they went to med school, they got into residency by age, 26, it still doesn't matter as long as, because ultimately at the end, your timing is valid and you need to do it at your own pace. And I would say comparison is a trap, because I know a lot of you are Gen Z here, or most of you, I guess. So it's very important to realize to not compare yourself on social media, because that's a real trap, and that really doesn't, so someone else's success doesn't take away from your own, because we all bloom at different times. And of course, you are more than your GPA, your resume, and once again, more than your social media feed, because that's like really curated life. People just want to post all the nice things about their life. And most importantly, it's very important to remember that you are a whole person. So what that means is that, let's say there are days when you feel very unproductive, you feel unseen, unsure, you still have value on those days. It doesn't mean that you are a failure. So in future, whether you become a doctor, a researcher, or you take a path in your family which no one in your family can understand, it's very important to do it with intention, and most importantly, do it without abandoning yourself. There will be moments ahead when you feel uncertain or alone. In these moments, remember that the most important voice in your life is the one inside your own head. So make it your ally and make it your best friend. And if you're ever in a place where you feel like everything's falling apart, remind yourself that this is not where it ends, this is where I rebuild. So thank you for listening, and thank you for being bold enough to dream. I believe in every one of you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gopinath, for that thoughtful keynote and for closing out MedCon with such honesty and passion. I was incredibly moved by your talk because I firsthand experienced how stigmatizing and suffocating it is to be in households where mental health isn't talked about openly. So thank you for being real and honest with us today. And we're grateful for the time and care that and experience that you've brought with this space. Please join me in the center of stage to receive your plaque today.